What if having grown up on national television not only defined your life, but gradually unwound your identity? For Gwen Brown, this wasn't a remote possibility. It was real. Born into the limelight as Kody Brown's daughter, Gwen's childhood was filmed on the long-running series Sister Wives. As the cameras recorded smiles and family drama, what they did not catch was the psychological cost of living in the public eye. Each private moment, each emotional transition, each growing pang, none of it was ever actually private. Being on a reality TV show may look glamorous from the outside, but for Gwen, it meant that she could never be fully in charge of her own tale. As she tried to find her voice in a family filled with complex dynamics, she was also navigating the pressure to conform, not just within her home, but to the expectations of millions of viewers. The spotlight didn't just observe her, it defined her. Her identity, her choices, and even her pain became material for public consumption. As Gwen matured, the conflict between who she was and who she was supposed to be intensified. Having cameras following her every step muddled the distinction between the private her and her edited-for-television persona. Her stumble through adolescence, her acts of rebellion, and her emotional awakenings weren't merely elements of coming of age. These were bundled as episodes, manipulated by producers and critiqued by viewers. One of the most intimate struggles Gwen endured, figuring out her sexuality, was also caught up in the glare. For most, this is a highly intimate journey, but for Gwen, being bisexual became part of the narrative of the show. It wasn't something she chose to divulge on her own initiative. Rather, it seemed like something initiated by the producers, seeking to produce a dramatic effect. What was to be a moment of freedom became more of a ratings performance. While perhaps finally being able to declare her identity had been a relief, it came with its own set of weights. Gwen needed to account for, categorize, and defend her identity in the world, something which heterosexuals are not regularly called upon to do. She wondered why LGBTQ+ individuals should have to come out at all, why their truth needs to be shared and analyzed, not simply embraced. For Gwen, the need to be open wasn't freeing, it was draining. Her battle wasn't merely with the public eye, it was also with her family, particularly her father. Traditional beliefs and emotional remoteness of Kody Brown created a sense of abandonment that Gwen couldn't disregard. While he concentrated most of his attention on his youngest children from his fourth wife, Robin, Gwen and her siblings from previous marriages were left to fend for themselves. The feeling of being excluded by her own father intensified her emotional scars. Seasons passed, and these episodes progressively manifested an increasing schism between the family. Gwen, as much of a talkative child as any, even found herself ignored at times. While family discussions revolved around Kody's desires and relationships, Gwen's were seldom ever a consideration. The emotional divide continued to widen, and Gwen came to realize over time that she was not the part of the family she envisioned. And yet, in the midst of all of this, Gwen managed to take back her story. After a while, she ceased being merely a character in a reality TV show and began becoming the author of her own life. She began to speak out about the emotional abandonment, the pressure of having cameras in her face, and the messy reality behind her public image. Her bravery to open up about her side of things was a turning point in her life. Gwen's journey wasn't an easy one. It's been a series of moments that would shatter many individuals. Public exposure, private disorientation, and a deep desire to be connected that usually fell short. But what's so strong about her story is the fact that she kept going, forging her own place beyond the glare of the spotlight she never sought out. She's no longer simply a girl that we grew up with on television. She's a young woman who has reclaimed agency, found her voice, and elected for truth over silence. Gwen Brown didn't merely come of age as a member of a family in the public eye, she came of age stuck in roles created by the gaze of reality television. For years, she was defined more by what producers wished for her to be than by who she was. There was minimal room remaining to truly discover herself outside of the constant glare of the limelight. The complex dynamics of her family, coupled with persistent media attention, eroded her sense of identity and privacy over time. It did not happen overnight, though. Change came incrementally, a subtle uprising that started with Gwen's refusal to be defined according to another person's script. She began speaking up and challenging the image that had been placed upon her. No longer was she happy to blend into the background. Gwen started writing her own script. She was no longer just Kody Brown's daughter. She was no longer just a character on Sister Wives. She wanted to be viewed as Gwen, the true, multifaceted, independent woman in front of the camera. One of the largest aspects of Gwen's evolution was in defying the patriarchal norms that had long loomed over her existence. She resented that since childhood, rigid religious doctrine and the fact that her father was absolute in his word had weighed on her. The concept that Kody had all the authority in the family was one that Gwen never fully embraced. As she matured, so did that rejection. She no longer felt she was required to submit to a hierarchy that belittled and made her invisible. In its place, Gwen started constructing her own truth, a foundation of honesty, independence, and self-worth. Her decision to publicly discuss her bisexuality, to challenge the emotional abandonment she perceived from her father, and to leave behind traditional family expectations wasn't simple, but it had to be done. These choices unveiled the essence of what she was becoming, a person who won't allow other individuals to determine her value. Although the journey was agonizing, characterized by years of inner turmoil, emotional detachment, and compulsion to fit in, Gwen emerged from it all more solid than ever. She no longer seeks the validation of her family or acquiesces to the will of a TV crowd. Her identity is now defined by self-truth, not acting. The more she takes ownership of her narrative, the more powerful she becomes. What makes Gwen's journey so powerful is that it goes beyond fame or family drama. It's a universal story about finding your voice when the world keeps trying to silence it. It's about claiming your identity when others try to write it for you. Gwen's evolution shows the strength it takes to peel away all the layers others have put on you and finally stand in your own skin. Her bravery echoes far beyond the realm of Sister Wives. It resonates with anyone who has ever felt invisible, misunderstood, or pushed to be someone they're not. Gwen didn't merely survive her past, she made it meaningful. She took her pain and turned it into purpose and her silence and turned it into strength. So now we're left with a question to ask ourselves. What can be learned from Gwen's struggle to be noticed? How might her experience move us to shake off the roles into which we've been pushed and at last reveal the world who we truly are? If Gwen's journey touched you as much as it touched me, make sure to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered glimpses into the lives behind the Brown family. There's a whole lot more to reveal, and you won't want to see what's coming next.